Welcome back to another episode of the Success Times Happiness podcast. My name is Richard Thompson. In today's episode, you've got me. We are filming in the studio at Thompson Legal, and we thought for a different perspective, I would have an episode talking about the standards that I'm trying to live up to every day. And in preparation for this ep, I'd work through what are the things that I'm trying to do every day whilst life is crazy and beautiful with Michelle and with the kids and obviously everything at work, consciously and subconsciously, to make my life better. I've been able to distill this into the 9 key standards that I'm trying to live up to. And bear with me because I don't have a teleprompter. Let's see how we go. Number 1, we do hard things. I've said it in the past in previous episodes. That is our mantra at home. When you ask the kids, what do we do in this house? They roll their eyes and say, we do hard things. Anything that's challenging in life, it's important to view that opportunity in a lens of growth, not in a lens of negativity. And so I think most people are unconsciously optimizing their life for comfort. And I do believe, and I believe it to be true, that we sort of pretend that we want the holiday beer commercial on the beach lifestyle. That is important to recover and relax during the year, but that's not the destination. We want to do hard things. We're designed to do hard things. And so as soon as you change your perspective and you say, I do hard things, and so then you do that more often and you expose yourself, and that exposure of hard things every day, you look for them and you see the value of growth that comes from them. Effectively, your life gets better in direct proportion to the hard things you avoid less. That's my takeaway for the number 1 standard that I live up to. Number 2, be objective about your emotions. One thing that I've learned through interviewing some amazing guests this year on the pod is that emotions are just signals. It's just data. We are not our emotions. That's an important position to come from. If you can be objective, if you can take a step back away from what you're experiencing, what you're feeling, and see that as a data point, you can do something about that. And that's the Rich Burrows position of having a gap between the stimulus and our response. The stimulus occurs, something happens that makes us feel something, that emotional state shifts. And the pause in between, the gap in between is what we've got to control. So that is when you say, why am I feeling, like acknowledging that you are feeling like this way, and then asking a question like, why am I feeling this way? And is this helping me? Is this useful? Is this promoting the best version of myself if I hold on to this emotion? The power comes from creating that space to then, once you've worked through that, then you can react in the best way going forward. The maturity comes when you stop letting your emotions make the decisions for you. Anything can happen, and usually it's the unknown unknowns that most often shifts you in the most challenging ways. It's not the ice bath, because the ice bath or the cold shower or whatever is going to be cold. The sauna is going to be warm. It's the unknown unknowns that really rock you. But if you can still come from a place of, my emotion is just a data set, it's just information that I need to process, that helps me to understand why I'm feeling a certain way, and you work within yourself objectively to get through that before you respond, that is number 2 of the standards that I try to live up to every single day. And I'm not saying, I should have prefaced this from the beginning, that I'm not a martyr here. I'm not perfect at any of these. But certainly these are things that I try to live up to. Sometimes fail miserably. Certainly try to do my best. Number 3, communication. Principally, the genesis of that breakdown is the breakdown of the communication. And importantly, to understand that the breakdown of communication with yourself is vital as well. So your ability to connect with yourself and communicate with yourself as to what you're wanting to achieve, if you're silent on that, if you don't have those genuine conversations with yourself about why you're doing something, about what you're trying to go after, then it's not going to be surprising if you don't proceed and succeed on that level. Without communicating, you bring in your own assumptions, resentment, and missed opportunities for that development of the relationship. Whereas the clear communication comes from good leadership, builds trust and influence. And so if everyone around you knows that you are a clear communicator, you're not responsible for someone else's interpretation of that communication. If they know that you're a clear communicator, then you will build trust with them and you will become a leader within that circle of influence. And it's important as well to understand, obviously, there's one thing of communication and having genuine conversations with people, right? And to say, this is going to be a hard conversation or hard chat about some truth. But it's also very important to bring in with tone or tonality, timing of the conversation, and clarity of thought of your conversation. And that's and also obviously lead with truth at all times, but you need to understand what the truth is, and that's where the clarity comes from. And having this belief that you need to communicate what needs to be said, even if it's uncomfortable. So this idea that putting matters of importance under the rug because you don't want to upset the apple cart is not the way forward. You need to firmly believe, as I do, that life becomes a whole lot better if you lead with truth and you communicate that in the appropriate ways. Number 4 in the standards that I'm trying to live up to is to be authentic, but to have the courage. And so authenticity without courage is hiding in my mind, but courage without authenticity is fake. So you definitely need to be yourself. And that's not necessarily an excuse. You don't want to be if you know you're not being the best version of yourself. I don't think it's a cop out to say, well, that's just me. And that's where the hiding piece is. The courage is to say, the courage piece is to be the best, to go on that journey, that path to be the best version of yourself in everything you do. And so it's to be yourself and to be open and authentic, to say, maybe you don't have the answers. Maybe you don't know what to do in a certain situation, but to have the courage to be growth mindset enough to be able to say, maybe I don't know, but I'm going to learn and I'm going to get there. To have the, to be able to see your shortcomings in any situation, in any day, and learn from them. Have a promise to yourself, communicate to yourself that you want to be better in this aspect of your life, not just simply repeat and repeat and repeat and be able to conveniently say, that's who I am, that's my authentic self. I'm not great in those situations, but to say, no, my potential is that I should be better in those situations and learn from that and become better at that in those circumstances. Number 5 is don't play the victim. Now, this is from Mark Selby's episode of Don't Be Prey. I love it. The victim mindset is outsourcing responsibility. It is things happen to me in a negative way. I'm the victim of this life. There's peer-reviewed evidence that came out about life expectancy and whether or not you see yourself as a victim in your life, and that it was a much lower life expectancy for the people who feel like they are hard up against it and they're a victim of their circumstance, which I found incredibly interesting. The position that life isn't fair or that a circumstance that you're in isn't fair really is an irrelevant position to hold, because that's the situation that you are in. And spiraling your mind to, it's comfortable to say, well, this isn't fair and this has happened to me and I'm the victim. It's a comfortable place to be because it requires no action from you to get out of it. It is just simply waving the white flag and saying, yep, that is an unfair place to be, rather than taking the initiative and saying, well, this is the situation. It's not ideal. That's fact. What are we going to do about it? There's always a next step. There's always an action that we can take. There's to exercise indifference emotionally to a circumstance, and then to be able to say, what are we going to do next about it? And that's all you can do. That's all you can do. And even no matter how challenging a situation is, and you can ruminate about what all the different opportunities, potentials that could be as a result of this one event, you could doomsday approach the the decision-making tree, but ultimately you say, what is the next positive step that we can do from this situation? And do that. And then the next step, and then the next step. But there's no point in getting ahead of yourself. There's no point in looking backwards and wondering, what if? It's all about, and that's Hormozi's position. You go, well, this has happened and that's terrible. And to be able to say something's happened and it may not be optimal, but it still requires your positive action going forward. And so not playing the victim in any circumstance. Because I truly believe as well that, that the Steve Jobs position, that once you look backwards, the dots connect themselves to where you need to be. And so I believe it's difficult in the moment to get you out of the well, and that any circumstance, no matter how terrible, is a wonderful thing to experience. But, I truly believe that when you look back at all the big issues, the big problems in life, the big catastrophes, the big negative events that occur, they're the things you need to have excelled in the life that you live now. So therefore, by virtue of accepting that, any negative event will be the thing that you need to grow. By playing the victim, you sit stagnant. You're in quicksand. You're in the status quo of just sitting there. Mark Selby talked about that he was in there for 4 years. And whilst he lost 4 years of his life because of that. Because of that experience, he has found a new, incredible meaning for life. And so that's the cost. But by not being the victim, you'll still experience that bad outcome, but you won't sit in the quagmire. You won't sit in the status quo for X period of time. You will have made the decision to understand what the next positive step is. Hey team, just popping in to say thanks for listening. If you're enjoying the episode, please take a second to like or follow the show and share it with a friend. It's the best way to help us grow and keep bringing you more great content. All right, let's get back into it. Number 6, bear with me if anyone is still listening, I appreciate you. Number 6 is become someone your younger self would admire and your future self respects. And this is in decisions, right? This is in how we conduct ourselves, particularly how we conduct ourselves when no one's looking, by ourselves individually, how we talk to ourselves, how we show up for ourselves, but also obviously for our friends, family, workers, colleagues, and the job, everything that we do. We talk about wanting to be in the flow state, which is being in the present moment. But how do we guide ourselves and how do we conduct ourselves in that moment? And that is becoming someone your younger self would admire and your future self would respect. I really enjoyed the press conference at the most recent Winter Olympics with Eileen Gu, who represents China, is American as well. She was asked what goes on in her head and in terms of her mindset. And she explained we can control our emotions, that we can control how we think. And as a result of that, we can control who we are. And that neuroplasticity is the most powerful superpower we could have. And this idea that because you can control what you think means you can control who you become, and that is insanely empowering. She gets therefore, at 22, she gets the ability to conduct herself in a way, both her mentally and physically, in a way that her 8-year-old self would look up to now and revere. And she said that her 8-year-old self would be obsessed with her at 22. And I just love that. I just love the idea that we are representing to our inner child someone who we can love, respect, and admire. And I think that's extremely powerful. And then you have the other side of it. Matthew McConaughey, when he accepted his Oscar award, he referenced his hero, and his hero being him in 5 years' time or 10 years' time. And he accepted that he would never meet his hero because it's a forever task or a forever target to reach. But reality is, you are acting in accordance with your future self, and who you want to be in the future dictates how you act today. So there is this balance between acting today in a way that your younger self would revere and acting in a way that towards the future self that you want to become. Number 7, build a team. and fight for them. No one wins alone in life. Nothing's been invented, discovered, or created by someone by themselves. This goes for family, friends, business partners, mentors, employees. You've got so many different circles of influence, different people in your life that you're part of. The people around you shape your standards. The people around you hold you to your standards, and you want to protect that. You want to fight for your team. They are all human. They are all imperfect, just like me, just like you, but you want to protect them and fight for them. That means everything. And so you build a team around you, you will be able to achieve way more than you thought was possible because of their involvement in your life. The reality is that who you surround yourself with determines what you will tolerate, and what you will tolerate is who you become. So the idea is that you just have an incredibly inspiring group of friends, group of family, group of employees. You're on the path to something incredible. Number 8, penultimate standard that I live up to every day is be grateful for the opportunity. Gratitude is everything. Sometimes tedious to practice on a daily basis, given how busy life is generally, but it's a strategic place to be. You need to exercise gratitude. You can't be angry and grateful at the same time. But there's lots of things to be grateful for. But the number one thing for me is the opportunity to improve, the opportunity to succeed, the opportunity ahead of me to be better, the opportunity to achieve something remarkable going forward. And so to do something in a day that leans into that gratitude piece around that opportunity is everything for me. So you build on that hard enough, the momentum will carry with you, and then you'll be on your way as well. And then finally, the number 9, the standards that I live up to is to have fun. And this is what keeps everything sustainable. If you hate the process, if there's no fun at all in what you're trying to achieve, and there's going to be days for sure, there's going to be days that you don't like it, like in anything. It's not all Skittles and rainbows, that's for sure. But you can have fun with the hard things as well. I'm not suggesting that it has to be easy, because nothing easy is worthwhile. But it's your mindset of having fun through the process, even when it's hard, particularly when it's hard. High performance in my mind, is the longevity piece is high performance plus enjoyment. So if you can enjoy the process of high performance, then there's very little chance of the burnout, very little chance that you will stop, because it is a lot of fun doing that. Manages expectations and manages the pressure because you are enjoying the process. That's everything when it comes to the path. So that's it. I hope you got something out of this solo episode. We don't do solo episodes very much, probably for this reason. We thought we'd do one at this point in time. Closing remarks, I guess, is that it isn't about being perfect. Life is, we are certainly imperfect. I am a prime example of that. But it's about having standards to live up to. It's about understanding your waypoints as you go through the day, week, and month, and year, and life, really, and having a set of standards to live by, particularly that direct you when no one's looking, and particularly standards that you set when it comes to how you care and love yourself. That's really important. What you see, that is the one relationship that'll be with you, from the only relationship that you will have for your entire life, is the one with yourself. And how you turn up for yourself, I believe, is directly correlated with how you turn up for others. That you don't know how much you can turn up, how well you can turn up for others, by improving the way you turn up for yourself. These are the 9 rules, these are the 9 standards that I live by every single day, or try to at the very, very least. But I am 100% certain and very proud to know that if my 8-year-old saw me now, he would love me. He would revere me. He would be incredibly proud of me. And I'm also striving to act accordingly to where I want to be in 10 years' time, my future self as well. As I said, I hope you guys got something out of this today. Normal programming resumes next week. And let me know. Drop me a comment, send me a message. It was another episode of the Success Times Happiness podcast. Next time you are ruminating on your standards in life, turn to the person next to you and tell them all about the show. It really means a lot. A huge thanks to myself, I guess, for putting together a solo episode, even though we don't do them much anymore. If it resonated with you, please let me know. Shoot me a message. It really means a lot, the messages that come through. We got a handful from last week as well, which is wonderful to see. But we can only grow. We don't advertise. We don't have sponsors. We just want to do this to get the messages out here, the messages out and the conversations out, and the growth of the viewership and the listens on the pod really help us, motivate us to keep doing what we're doing. So it's almost 3 years of it, which is incredible. 1 episode every single week. We would love this to grow even more. And so the only way we do it is if certainly subscribe, but listen and share it with others that can listen as well. That means so much to us to be able to know that we've hit something that struck a chord to you, to be able to share it with somebody is amazing. Drop a comment to us, let us know. That certainly also keeps us motivated too. So, all right, rambling's over. Until next time.